Every time the Indian government decides to throw a curveball and add yet another regulation to the Indian automotive industry, manufacturers come up with ingenious ways to solve their problems. The sub-4 meter sedan category is exactly one such example and has given us great selling cars like the Maruti Suzuki Swift Dzire. And now we have this, the all-new Ford Figo Aspire, Ford's answer to the sub-4 meter problem. The Aspire name, though, isn't a very new one. In fact, and not many people know this, the Ford Aspire was a very cheap hatchback which was sold in the US in the early 90s, replacing the very popular Festiva. Sadly though, even for its day and age, it was a very mediocre car and was taken off showroom floors by the late 1990s. This though, the new Aspire, is nothing like the old one, and from the face of it looks really interesting. With its large Aston Martin-inspired 4-stat front grille, festooned in chrome, the Aspire displays Ford's design language to the T. The headlamps, however, could certainly have been a little more detailed and could have also done with a daytime running light setup or a projector headlamp. The side profile of the Ford Figo Aspire is nicely sculpted as well and has a well-defined waistline that breaks up the mass of the car. The subtle flared wheel arches too look attractive, but the 14-inch wheels do seem a little lost in them. The simple and elegant design continues around the back with a considerably flat and yet well-layered boot lid with a chrome accent piece. In our opinion though, the rear could have certainly been made to look a little more attractive by adding a few plastic accent pieces to the bumper, a chrome exhaust tip, or maybe just a lip spoiler. If you've been on the inside of a recent Ford India product like the EcoSport, you will find the Aspire a pretty familiar place to be. It gets a very prominent V-shaped center console with all the media and telephone buttons all integrated into one, and an infotainment screen on the Titanium Plus model. The chunky steering wheel only adds to the sportiness of the Aspire and of course gets audio controls as well. Where the Ford Figo Aspire does go extremely high is storage spaces, of which there are 20 of them. One of our favorite, of course, is the small cubbyhole on the side of your dashboard that you could put your phone in. The Ford Figo Aspire, as expected, comes loaded with all possible gadgets that one might expect from a car in this category, and then some. You get an integrated infotainment system, height-adjustable driver's seat, and a ton of safety features including 6 airbags in the top-of-the-line Titanium Plus version. In fact, safety was clearly one of the top priorities for Ford, considering every single variant gets at least 2 airbags and ABS as standard equipment. What is missed though is a reverse parking camera and parking sensors, which do not come as standard but can be bought as a part of the official accessories list. Another omission that does bother us though is the lack of roof-mounted grab handles for the front passenger and both the rear passengers as well. Being a family car in India, of course, means frequent usage of the rear seats. And as you can see from the amount of leg space available and the amount of head space available as well, the Aspire does have a lot to offer. In fact, in our opinion, the Aspire is one of the most comfortable and spacious cars in the back seat in its segment. As an added bonus, it also gets beige leather interior, another first in its category. The Ford Figo Aspire gets 3 engine options: a 1.2-litre petrol with a manual gearbox and 88 PS of power, a 1.5-litre diesel with 100 PS of power, and a 1.5-litre petrol with an automatic gearbox and 110 PS of power, which of course is the range-topping car. Having driven both the diesel and the petrol, the ones with the manual gearbox of course, we prefer the diesel. Why? Well, mainly because it's more powerful and feels great to drive both on the highway and in city start-stop traffic. Not only is it responsive from the get-go or from a standstill, but in-gear acceleration in most gears is quite impressive as well. The petrol, on the other hand, does feel slightly lethargic, but we think that's mainly due to the way it's geared. What is also impressive though are the fuel economy figures. And while the diesel gives 25.83 km per litre, the petrol offers 18.16. petrol automatic though is slightly lower of course at about 17 kilometers per litre. All in all, we would certainly have the diesel over the petrol, not because it's more powerful and better to drive, but in terms of refinement and noise, it is also better than most of its competition. Most Fords are known for the way they handle, and the Aspire is no different. In fact, with a really well-weighed steering wheel that offers great feedback, the Aspire is one of the best handling cars in its segment. The Aspire also rides really well over rough and undulated roads, with the suspension showing almost no signs of bottoming out or crashing over rough terrain. The only thing that does concern us slightly is the amount of roll that the Aspire has at a higher speed, but then that could be down to the quality of the tires used by the manufacturer. Slap on a better set of tires though, and we are sure most of these problems might be solved. The brakes too offer good feedback and bite in terms of both city, slow speed driving and on the highway when speeds are much higher. The Ford Figo Aspire is a very interesting proposition mainly because it offers a level of fun and excitement that some cars in this segment lack. It looks good, has very well made interiors, is quite safe and of course drives really well. Does it have the kind of influence it needs to take down the Maruti Suzuki Swift Dzire from its top spot? Probably not. But competition like the Hyundai Xcent and Honda Amaze certainly need to be wary, as this car does have the potential to do for Ford what the EcoSport did a few years ago. Basically, if you are looking for a sub-4 meter sedan today, the Aspire is certainly worth waiting for.
For a detailed review and more news, videos and reviews, do log on to ZigWheels.com.